grass gets really goddamn big sometimes. I mean, look at that. That's some grass. That's like my height. Yeah. I guess that's realistic though. Some grass does get that big. Fail. Fail. Apparently grass doesn't die when it's covered. I'm gonna have to send the wild grass mod guy a message about this. Probably not very noticeable because normally you are covering like small grass and the grass is within the block and you don't see it. But yeah, basically he needs to have it so that when you place a block on top of the wild grass, it resets the grass counter to 0 because he has like a variable going on saying how much grass is on the block. Getting there, damn it. We're getting there. Just one more layer. Damn, that's tall. You know what? No. You fucked with me, Cal. You're dying. Tell you guys what, I'm really glad I made that diamond shovel. Because I need it. We are almost to level. Almost. Looks like we're not going to make it in one day, though. We're going to have to take some grass from the wilderness over here. Alright, I'm going to use up this pack and then we're going to retreat like a pussy back to the house. I like how I alternate between using we and I because it's me playing, but it's our LP and we choose what to do. I take your input. For example, the lava lamps on the floor over there. A dude PM'd me like forever ago and was like, hey, you should make lava lamps. And I was like, that's a good idea. I meant to do that and forgot. And while I didn't get around to that for a long time, mostly because I was sick, I did do it, and it was a like suggestion/request, and they look nice. Alright, well, point is, if you guys ever have any ideas, you want me to do something, want me to build something, whatever, feel free to PM or put it on a comment. I read every single comment because I don't have that many yet. And even when I have lots, I don't really have anything better to do, so I'll probably read them all still. What? Oh! The torch counts as a block, I forgot. So it actually blocks that. There. Well, while we wait for morning, I'm going to talk about some redstone. Redstone can be used to make a clock. In case you're not familiar with electronics, clocks are what lets electronics do stuff on a regular interval. There are little crystals, usually, that oscillate when electricity is applied to them. And the oscillations determine the frequency of stuff happening. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it, but it should be enough for this, because this is virtual anyway. Anyway, in order to make something that functions as a clock in Minecraft, you can chain inverters together. Inverters being a block with a torch on the side. Like, I'm going to do this with a non-redstone torch. Just pretend it's redstone. That would be an inverter. Signal goes into either this side, or this side. There must not be redstone on the top, and then it comes out the torch. And basically what that does is a NOT gate, which means whatever goes in, the opposite comes out. If you put energy in, nothing comes out. Put nothing in, energy comes out. Chain two inverters together, and you have a repeater that makes the signal go further. And that's what I was doing over there when I was building that alarm path thing. What was I? Oh yeah, if you put 5 of these together, you would need a piece of redstone here to bridge the gap between the torch and the next block. If you put them back to back, they don't work. Anyway, if you make repeaters, you can chain them together. Like this repeater goes out with a signal that's on, this one's off. This one's on, then this new one would be off. And if you chain them all together like this, they're in a circle, kind of. Or ironically, not ironically really, but just weirdly, almost a swastika pattern. But it goes in a circle, turning on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off as the signal travels in a circle, confusing itself. And each one of these segments between them blinks on and off, meaning a regular interval of pulsed energy, i.e. a clock. And what we do with these clocks is attach them to stuff to make things happen. Like if I attach a note block to one of these clock outputs, it would go ding, 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 ding every time it flashes. Anyway, that's the idea with that note block. I want it to repeatedly ding so that I know something's there, and then when I get the thing from the trap, it'll stop. Now you're thinking, wait, if you attach a pressure plate to this, it'll just go ding, and then it might travel around once, and it's not really going to work right. Well, that's right, because we can't just use a clock. You need a clock and something to detach and attach the clock, and then the signal from the pressure pad goes to that. So basically, we need a boatload more redstone, like 30 or 40, almost a whole stack, to make a clock and a gate, a memory latch gate thing. I invented my own, and we'll be going over that. It takes up less space and is more effective than the gates that most people are using, called a NOR latch, I believe. Mine is called the Yushatak latch because I invented it. And there's no equivalent in real electronics because it takes advantage of game mechanics which are not exact. Oh, it has a cactus. That's why I haven't bothered with that. You can hear the little click when they come if you're in the house. Anyway, redstone torches actually can burn out if signals are sent to them too quickly. On and off and on and off, they'll go tss. Anyway, basically any less than 5 inverters in a clock and they will burn out occasionally, thusly stopping your signal from working right. This is a 4 clock that I've built right here. Well, you know, an imaginary 4 clock. And it would actually burn out regularly. 3 clocks also burn out regularly, and you cannot make any... Well, yes, actually, you can make less than a 3 clock. And my latch is actually kind of a 1 clock. It doesn't actually function as a clock, but functions on the same principles. Anyway, a 5 clock is the smallest sized clock that you can do without it burning out. So you can make 5 clocks, 6 clocks, 7 clock, any number. And the higher number of the clock, the slower the flashing, because it takes more time for the signal to go around. So a 5 clock is typically what people use because it gives you like a medium rate of flashing. If you want it to go any faster than that, you have to combine multiple clocks and then use gates and fancy things to make an effective clock that's like a 3 or a 2 or something. If you chain 2 5 clocks together with an AND gate, it would effectively be like a 2.5 clock or something, twice as fast as a 5 clock. And one of the cool things about the clocks is you have points where there are redstone. There would be redstone dust here, 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 and here. And we're just going to pretend that the 4 clock would have worked for means of this example. You could take redstone and go in a line away from each one of these points. Etc. And each of these points would blink at a different time. So if you put a note block on each of these points, then every time the signal was in a part of the clock, in this case 4 times, it would ring a note block at each point. And in fact, you could even attach them together with an AND gate and make it so they all go into one note block, which is what I'm going to do with that alarm. And what that lets you do is take a clock, and instead of attaching it to one, you can actually up the frequency by combining different segments together. Anyway, I think I've yammered on about redstone enough for now, especially since I don't actually have any redstone at the moment to show you properly with. Oh yeah, I didn't even notice I built on top of that. And I have successfully wasted enough time for it to be daytime. I may make a tutorial series of redstone stuff where I like hacksaw a room full of empty and a bunch of redstone stuff just for me to explain principles to you. If you guys are interested in that, then please comment and I would be more than happy to do so. If you're familiar with actual electronics, then translating your knowledge over to redstone is really simple, because redstone is just a simplified version of electronics. It's like working with prefabricated parts with slightly different functionality. There's a zombie, like right above me, isn't he? Dang. Let's go check the trap. See, I chained inverters here, because that way it goes in, the signal coming out is off, signal coming out is on. And actually, I failed here. There needs to be another block with redstone. That's why it's not working. But we'll straighten that all out when we have redstone to work with. For now, it'll just sit there happily. It's not much of a drop. If I'm not mistaken, there's a minimum and maximum radius around the player where mobs spawn. The minimum is 24. They have to be 24 or 25 blocks away from you, otherwise they won't spawn. That's so that stuff doesn't spawn like right behind you or right in front of you, because that would be unfair and retarded. The maximum, I believe, is 75. So there's a 50 block range around you. Ooh, creeper. Wherein mobs can spawn. And that's why when I'm sitting in my house, the trap does not accumulate much, because only a very small chunk of the trap is actually within that bubble. Pew, 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 pew. I'm not gonna lie, it's much more fun to spam arrows. And since I can retrieve them, no reason not to. Glass steps. Alright. What do you guys think of the wild grass mod? The one thing I don't like about it is that it changes the properties of the hoe, so that the hoe removes wild grass and downward, downward, downward until you hit the real grass. And it's not a huge gameplay change, but it is there. Those little dots over there, I don't know if you guys can see them, but I think that's from the MIP mapping thing. It's got a couple little unintended side effects, but overall it's really nice. Like, look up there. Normally you'd see weird black patterns along that wood. You just see a color from here. One more row. I'm so glad they changed the durability of the tools, because that shovel, it would have been almost gone by now before that update. Out already? Let's gather this. To be exactly a stack.